Good evening, everyone. If you're watching us live on the live stream, good evening, happy Tuesday, and it's still somewhat light outside my studio, so that means hopefully you remember to adjust your clocks if you're into that. We've got a special program for you. We're going to be talking both scales, HO and N scale, and we're going to be talking Genesis, and we're also going to be talking about Athearn. So stay tuned for that. If you are watching us on our YouTube channel, thank you for finding us. If you like the content, feel free to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new video like the one that came in yesterday is added to our channel. We added a new video yesterday. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the future. Let's see who's joining us here tonight. I see Brody. And around the layout is here. Donnie is here. Jason, Ian, EMP Railroad 93 has joined us. Jackie, BN Green 1970. Jason, Are You a Train Man 2? And Alco Steam, just to name a few. So thank you for joining us on the live feed. Like I said, we're going to be talking both HO and N scale. So you N scale guys that have been hitting us up in the comments, stay tuned. Well, I was going to say your ship has come in, but I guess your freight cars have come in. Let's see who else is joining us, and then we'll get started on this Train Tuesday. I see Bruce, Grandpa Rails, Bradley, Anthony, Ramsey, Chessie, Paul Young, KCG Rail Gilbert, and Edwards Rail Productions. And I do believe I saw someone out there before the show. Jason, I think you're coming up on your 45th birthday. So a little early, but let's say happy birthday and enjoy your birthday. And sounds like he already has. He's gotten some new Atharn items, so who wouldn't be happy with those kind of gifts? So let's get started with this Train Tuesday, and let's start talking about Athearn Genesis. We're going to start with HO, and then we're going to go into N scale. So we're going to start with the Athearn Genesis ACF 4600 covered hoppers. Now we did these in Genesis, and we did these in both HO and N scale. Now the HO variant has been out for a little bit. The N scale, though, however, is an upgrade. The original N scale 4600s were under the Athearn banner. They've now been upgraded to Genesis. They've got more details. Stay tuned for us talking about those features. But let's dive in a little bit about the actual prototype. Now the 3-bay center flow covered hopper first entered service in about the mid-1960s, built by American Car and Foundry. The cars handle loads such as grain, corn, and similar bulk commodities. Now the center flow design relies on the car's rounded body to provide structural strength and eliminating the traditional center sill and making gravity unloading easier. Now the Genesis 3-bay car represents the common 4,600 cubic foot capacity version. The railroads looking to replace their aging 40-foot boxcars in grain service needed a modern hopper design, one that could operate within the tighter Plate B clearances for light branch line and industrial service. ACS design won them many contracts for a plethora of railroads. One can find these cars still in revenue service today in grain trains and in other types of similar service. Now, the car that you see on your screen right now, this is a Genesis Grand Trunk Western. I believe these are sold out at Athearn.com, but you can probably still find these at your hobby shop, whether that be brick and mortar or an online source. Now, if you're interested in this car, the item number for this is ATHG 15845. Again, that's ATHG 15845. Now let's talk about the cars that we've chosen for this run, and you have until Friday, March 29th, to place your pre-orders with your dealer. So fans of the 70s and 80s, we've got some great cars for you in this run. We're going to start with the Rock Island. This is obviously 1978, so this is the last days of the Rock Island. These cars would, ironically enough, see used by other owners longer than their original owner, as by 1980, Rock Island, at least this version, was gone. The car that you see on your screen, this is road number 800209. We're also going to offer 2 additional singles to this set, 800366 and 800427. On top of that, we're also going to offer the following road numbers, 800301, 800367, and 80040. Now that will give you the opportunity to buy all of those Rock Island covered hoppers if you're modeling 1978, just up until the time they were no longer working for the Rock, and you don't have to worry about duplicating road numbers. Now coming up next, we've got Western Pacific. These are 1970s era cars. Pay close attention. You'll see that the car on your screen, 11977, and a matching car, 11980, not pictured, are representative of 1978. While the next car that we've got shown here, 11989 and 11999, it's 1975. There's some subtle differences there. You'll probably pick them out. But if you're modeling 1975 on up, all 4 of these cars would be a great addition to your roster. So coming up next, I'm going to give you some Cascade Green. And we're going to be talking 2 different eras here. Let's start at the top. This is BN number 455835. This is a 1990s era car. So if you're modeling the 1990s, just before the merger, these cars are perfect for that. Likewise, if you're modeling the mid-2000s, and this is even after the merger, these cars were still around just like this. This car is 455929. Again, this is mid-2000s. So as I've said before, just because a railroad merges with another railroad overnight, we don't see equipment painted as quickly as we think it should be. Pretty true with locomotives and in the past with way cars and cabooses, but not so much freight cars. And this is certainly the case here. So if you're modeling the mid-2000s, this car is perfect addition for you. Finally, we have another variant of the 1990s version, very similar to the 2000s version. This is BN number 455990. Now, one thing that we get a lot of requests for are not just undecorated locomotives, but undecorated freight cars. And we got so much of a demand of it, we figured we'd experiment with this. So we're going to be offering 2 of these 4600 covered hoppers as undecorated models. Now, the first one that you see on the top of the screen, the item number for this is ATHG-1538. Now, this is an undecorated phase 1. Even though it's an early version of the 4600, I do want to point out that this has the low brake. That was common after 1968. A lot of the brake wheels either came from the manufacturers in this lower version, or railroads opted to modify their freight cars to have the brake wheels lowered. We're also going to offer a phase 2 version, and that one is the one right below it. That item number is ATHG-1539. Now, a couple of things about this. These cars are going to be really nice because they're going to come with the trough hatches already installed. However, we will include round hatches as well as alternate discharge gates included with both of these undecorated models. So I hope you guys that are into custom painting, or maybe you've got freelance roads that you've wanted to do on your own, I hope you guys will go ahead and scoop these up. We're kind of doing it as an experiment, and if the sales are good, we'll continue to offer undecorated cars like this. Now, prime for grime, guys, I've got something here for you. We've got a couple of different versions. Now, you remember at the beginning of the program, I told you that the Rock Island had these 4600s, but ironically enough, most of those went on to work for other railroads longer than they did their original owners. And here's the case. Now, if you're modeling the mid-2000s, these are great cars that you're going to want to pick up. We're going to start with the first one at the top of the screen. This is St. Mary's Railway West, so it's been patched for St. Mary's Railway, again, mid-2000s. It's prime for grime, so that blue has faded over the years, and you see the patchwork on it. Now, the road number and the reporting marks actually are SMW, and the road number is 815345. To continue on that theme, we've got two versions of the first Union Rail, again, mid-2000s, and again, prime for grime. So you can see the patches, you can see the faded paint. It's basically when you open these up out of the package, the only thing left for you to do is to further the weathering to make these look even more authentic. We've got two road numbers under First Union Rail. First Union Rail uses the reporting marks of FURX, and the first car is 815218, and the second car is 815219. Now let's talk about the features of the Genesis HO Scale 4600s. Now typically in a run, we'll do 3 different body styles. Now that's not always the case. You'll see differences in these, but typically the way Genesis has been doing these in the past is 3 different body styles. There's the early, like I was telling you about, high side ladder and brake wheel, single side stiffener. Not really offering those in this run, as you can see. These are a little bit different. These are more to the mid to late. Now the mid is going to have a low brake wheel, short side ladders on both ends, and single side stiffener. Now remember that one undecorated we're doing is technically an early model. However, the brake wheel and ladders are lower. And then finally, there's the late. This is a post 1971 car. It's pretty much the same as the above versions, but with double side stiffeners. And again, that's post 1971. Based on the prototype, these will have round or trough style hatches, photo etched metal roof walk, separately applied wire grab irons, stirrup steps, brake wheel, and of course numerous detailed outlet versions, again based on the prototype, separate brake cylinder, valve, and air reservoir with wire brake plumbing, and Genesis 100-ton trucks with 36-inch machine metal wheels, and since they are Athearn Genesis HO, they will have animated spinning roller cap bearings. Minimum radius on these is 18 inches, so even if you got a very small layout or an industrial layout, you can definitely find that these will negotiate pretty tight turns of 18 and up as far as a radius. Prices on these guys. So remember, this is MSRP, so before you leave angry comments in the comment section, remember, talk to your dealer first. Prime for grime individual cars are going to go for $69.99. Individual factory fresh, non-prime for grime, they're going to be $64.99. And if you go for that really cool Rock Island 3-car set, they're $164.99, and that's a 3-pack. So there's the HO scale version. You N scale guys have been really patient. Now it's time to show the N scale guys what they're getting. So here we've got the latest, and this is actually in stock right now at Athearn, and it's probably at your dealer. This is the Vermont Rail number 6006. We did 2 road numbers of Vermont Rail. Item number that you need to ask for your dealer is ATH 12942. Again, that's ATH 12942. These are available now. So if you're like me and you want to add these to your collection, definitely get an order going with your dealer. Now, these are actually the Genesis line. This was the ones that we announced about a year ago, just after the rebranding. So they've got a lot more detail, and we're going to talk about that detail coming up. But for now, let's walk through what is going to be available for you guys to pre-order this month. So like the HO scale guys, you're going to get the same road numbers and same road names. So I'm not going to repeat all those road numbers because, again, they're identical to the HO scale versions. If you missed that out for some reason, you can always go to our website at atharn.com and select the new announcements tab, and you can download the PDF version of this. You can also see all the ones that are available for pre-order. But right away, we're going to start with the Rock Island 1978. You're going to have the option of getting 3 different singles as well as a 3-car set. So if you're a big fan of the Rock Island, you're going to want to pre-order all 6 of these cars. Again, non-duplicating road numbers, so you don't have to worry about that. Western Pacific fans, again, if you're modeling the 1970s, specifically 1975 into the 80s, we're going to have 4 different road numbers for you guys to choose from, or just add to your roster. Burlington Northern, same thing. You're going to have the choice of 2 different eras. Some of these can mix and mingle depending on what era you're modeling, but you have the top 1990s version, followed by the mid-2000s version in the middle, and then the bottom one there is a 1990s version as well. So these work great for the 1990s or into the mid-2000s. Now, just because you model N scale doesn't mean we haven't been listening to you. We're going to offer you the same opportunity as the HO scale modelers. We're offering 2 different undecorated versions of the 4600. And like the HO version, you're going to have some of the same features. So pay attention here. The top car, the undecorated car, is ATHG-153A. Now that car is an undecorated phase 1. Remember I was talking earlier in the program that they had earlier versions of this car? Keep in mind though, since this is a phase 1, unlike the earlier phase 1s, this has actually got the brake wheel in the lower positions, also got the lower ladders on either end. Then you go to the phase 2, which is directly below it, and that item number is ATHG-1539. Now these will include both the trough style hatches as well as round hatches, and alternate discharge gates are also included. So you can pretty much make whatever railroad you would like, including anything that you would like to do as far as a freelance railroad. And you guys also get the prime for grime. Again, we've got those former Rock Island 4600s. They're faded out. They're patched for their new owners. Of course, the top one there is for St. Mary's Railway West. That's a 2000s era car. We're just doing 1 road number for St. Mary's. And then for First Union Rail, you see these guys all over the place. We're doing 2 different road numbers for that. And again, mid-2000s. So if you're an N-scale guy and you're more into the more modern stuff, but you kind of like the older paint schemes from the 70s and 80s, here's a great way to justify that, albeit with some prime for grime. Also, too, these are great starting points for weathering. So pick up these if you're modeling 2000s era in N-scale. Now, as far as the features, we're going to go back to that Vermont rail car so you can see the features. And these cars are absolutely incredible. Big upgrade from when they used to be. Just like the HO scale versions, our molding is going to allow us to do the early, the mid, and the late styles of bodies. Based on the prototype, they'll have a round or a trough style hatches. They're all going to have photo etched metal roof walks, no more plastic roof walks. That's kind of old technology now. These are also going to have detailed outlets, separately applied brake wheel, screw-mounted trucks, 100-ton trucks with 36-inch machined metal wheels, and body-mounted couplers, the body-mounted McHenry scale knuckle couplers. And the minimum radius on this, even if you're modeling the smallest T-track module, you can run these because the minimum radius on these is 9 3/4. Price on these guys, again, MSRP, so talk to your dealer for your price. $44.99 will get you any one of those prime for grime versions. If you want more of a factory fresh, like the Rock Island, $39.99 individual. If you go for the Rock Island 3-pack, that is $104.99. Again, that is MSRP, so contact your dealer for pricing. So there you have it. I'm going to go ahead and open the floor briefly for questions on either the HO or the N-scale 4600 ACF covered hoppers before we move on to our next subject. Let's see what we've got here. Going back a little bit. Sparky says, undecorated is awesome. Let's put our YouTube names on them and send them to friends. That's a good idea, actually. That would be really cool. So there you go. Yeah, and like I said, we're just kind of doing it as an experiment. We had a lot of people ask for undecorated, so prove us wrong. Go ahead and pre-order these. If we see enough sales with these, we'll continue to do those in the future. John says, I would love to see more Roundhouse in N. Well, Roundhouse now has been rebranded as of 2 years ago. It's all HO scale. You're probably thinking back to the old MDC days of Roundhouse when they did the old timer cars and things of that nature. We still have the tooling for that, and we do offer it occasionally, but those have now been upgraded from Roundhouse to the Athearn N scale line. So you're probably going to see those in the future, just not under the Roundhouse name. Jason, I knew you'd like that Vermont Rail stuff. As soon as I saw those in the studio, I was like, I bet you the guys in Vermont are going to be excited about these. All right. A couple of comments about the Rock Island. Very interesting railroad. A lot of guys happy about the Prime for Grime and undecorated. Let's see if we got any new questions before moving on to the next one. Let's see. BN Green's always got some great stuff to comment on, not just mid 2000s. I saw BN covered Hopper last week. No graffiti either. That's what's amazing. You saw it without graffiti. Whoever did that weathering job for Warren Buffett is amazing. It was dirty. Yeah, once in a while. I mean, I'll be going on one of my big rail fan expeditions here in a couple of weeks on the former Santa Fe Transcon, and we'll still see those covered hoppers like that. Now, finding them without graffiti, that's pretty hard to do. So kudos for that. Let's see what else we've got. Benjamin says, hey, is Athearn going to do any more of the DDA 40X diesel electric locomotives? And he's got some choices there for road numbers. Well, the ones that we announced a couple of years ago, they're actually, I believe they're soon to ship. In fact, I think they're going to be shipping. Let's see, we're in March. I think we're going to see them late April, early May. So I don't know if we're going to announce any this year, but we'll probably announce some in the future. If those are road names specifically you would like to see, feel free to send us an email at athearn-productsuggestions@athearn.com. All right. Yep, that is true. Those BN hoppers are getting rare, but still plenty out there. Yeah, I still see them occasionally. Not as much as I did 10, 15 years ago, but definitely still seeing them. All right, let's go on to our next subject. And now we're going to go to the brand name of Athearn. Now, Athearn is our mid-level locomotive and freight car line. Not quite as much detail as Genesis, but still quite a bit of detail. And both of these items that we're going to be talking about, the HO and the N-scale 52-foot mill gonds, have undergone some changes. They've been refined a little bit, almost all new tooling. But let's go ahead and get started with the HO scale version. Here's the railgun. I do believe these are sold out at Atharn.com. However, you may still be able to find this one on dealer shelves. If you're looking for this particular car, it's ATH 8176. Again, that's ATH 8176. Really nice car. These are great cars for you guys that have the smaller layouts, or if you've got a layout that has a lot of industrial on it. These guys work out really, really well. And so for this run, we're going to be offering new road names, and we're going to be offering them as both singles as well as a 3-car set. 2 singles, and a 3-car set. So let's talk about what we're going to be offering for pre-order for this month. Starting at the top, we've got Rio Grande. This is a 1977 era car. The car that's pictured here is 56375. We're also going to offer an additional single car. Its road number is 56377. Then on top of that, we're also going to offer a 3-car set. There'll be 3 gondolas for the Rio Grande, and those road numbers will include 56381, 56387, and 56424. Going into the 1980s, we've got these Burlington Northern gondolas. These you still see a little bit, and they're a little bit rougher than what they look like on the screen. But if you're modeling the 1980s, these were brand new. The first car that you see is BN 564307. Additionally, the other single that we're going to offer is 564445. And the 3-car set will include road numbers 567390, 567403, and 567415. Staying within the 1980s, we've got these Grand Trunk Western cars. These are perfect for you guys in the Great Lakes region and west. Here we've got car number 148007. We're also going to offer single car 148011. And then the 3-car set will include road numbers 148025, 148038, and 148171. Now, we did not forget our friends south of the border of the United States. We get a lot of requests for Mexican rail equipment, and we're more than happy to oblige. Here we've got a 1975 era NDM model, and we're going to offer this as 2 single gondolas as well as a 3-car set. The car that you see on your screen now is road number 86763. We're also going to offer the other single, and that road number is 87777. And then the 3-car set will include road numbers 86765, 88432, and 88451. Delaware and Hudson fans, you're in luck. We're going to have the 1980s represented here for you. Here we have got car number 15005. We're also going to do car number 15077. And the 3-car set will include car numbers 15027, 15039, and 15045. And then last but not least, fans of the multi-mark from Canadian Pacific, this is 1975 on up. This is car number 330907. We're also going to offer car number 330925, and then the 3-car set will include car numbers 330913, 330917, and 330920. So we've got some great choices, specifically if you're modeling in the 1970s into the 1980s. Let's talk a little bit about the details and some of the new features of these cars. Now, the car that you've got on your screen now, these new features are not on this car, so don't use this car as the benchmark for what I'm about to list off. These are all going to now have a refined end sheet metal molded on details, improved rivet and bolt details, corrected wire grab iron placements, new top core details, new jack reinforcement pad details, new coupler cut lever mounting details, and there's a lot more to these cars. If you want to read the full details, go to Athearn.com and select the new announcements and select the Mill Gondolas tab. Now, if you're wondering what radius these will run on, they'll run all the way down to a minimum radius of 18 inches. They are going to MSRP for, if you go for the single cars, $34.99. If you go for the 3-car set, they're going to be $84.99. Now, again, that's MSRP, so talk to your dealer. So we didn't stop there. We've got the HO scale versions. We've also got the N scale versions. And the N scale versions also had some upgrades as well. So exciting for both HO and N scale. Now, the one that you see on your screen here, this is the Northwestern Oklahoma. This is car number 32253. These are available. I'm sorry. These I think we are sold out of at Athearn.com, but they are recent enough that you can probably still find them at your dealer. If you're interested in this car, it's ATH3555. Again, the item number for this car is ATH3555. Now, just like the HO scale guys, you're going to have the same road names and you're going to also have the same road numbers. So I won't go through all of the numbers again, but let's talk about the cars that we are featuring. You're going to have the choice of Rio Grande from 1977 on up. And again, you get 2 single cars as well as a 3-car set. Burlington Northern, if you're modeling the 1980s, this is a perfect addition to your fleet. Again, 2 singles as well as a 3-car set. And then finally, 1980s era Grand Trunk Western. This is offered as 2 singles as well as a 3-car set. NDM, if you're modeling 1975 on up, you might want to consider adding these to your fleet. Again, everything that I'm showing here is available as 2 singles as well as a 3-car set. 1980s era fans, Delaware and Hudson is going to be available as well. And then finally, if you're a fan of the Multimark or you're just simply a Canadian New England modeler of the 1970s on up, here are the Canadian Pacific Multimarks. Again, 2 different singles as well as a 3-car set. Now, just because they're smaller doesn't mean they lack detail. In fact, we've been doing a lot of work on our tooling and trying to get the fidelity of these cars, both HO and N scale, even better, because in the end, that's what you customers are demanding. So new features for these cars include, and this is N scale again, improved molded on detail fidelity. What does that mean basically? The molds have been updated, they've been freshened up. If you know anything about the injection molded process, after a while, molds actually start to wear out and things start to look a little thicker, a little chunkier. It was time for these molds to get upgraded, so our product developers spent a lot of time getting these retooled. And we could almost say they're new tooling, but not quite. We did put a lot of work into them. So as a result of them getting those upgraded, now the detail is that much sharper. It's going to look less chunky. Another improvement with these is in the past, these had the molded stirrup steps. In an N scale, they looked a little thick. They looked a little too thick. Well, now these are going to be a fine scale stirrup. They're going to look a lot more scale than they did in previous versions. There's also going to be additional nut and bolt details that have been added, so that's all new. That wasn't there before. These are going to have body-mounted McHenry knuckle couplers already installed and metal wheel sets, and of course the screw-mounted trucks for accurate trucking. That's pretty much an Athearn N-scale and an Athearn Genesis N-scale thing. All the trucks are screw-mounted. Now the minimum radius on these is 9 3/4. So again, doesn't matter how big or small your layout is, you're going to be right at home on either your layout or your module. MSRP on these cars, these are individual prices, and again, MSRP, so contact your dealer, $31.99 individually, and if you go for the 3-car set, $79.99. Again, talk to your dealer for your prices because we're talking full manufacturer suggested retail pricing, and you're going to want to talk to your dealer for your price. So there you have it. We had a little bit of HO, we had a little bit of N scale, we had a little bit of Genesis, and we had a little bit of a lot of things to talk about tonight. But now it's your turn. If you've got some questions for Athearn, feel free to put them in the comments here, and my side would be over here. And let's hear what you have to say. I'll take a few questions, and then I will let you guys get back to it. Abel, I couldn't agree with you more as a fellow N-scaler. N has been gaining tons of traction in recent years. No more garbage plastic wheels and Rapido couplers. He doesn't mean the other manufacturer. That's just what they're called, those big square clunky couplers. And yes, I remember a time when operating N-scale locomotives meant you had to buy a aftermarket kit to use knuckle couplers, and it included redoing the front and rear pilots. We've come a long way in 20, 30 years, and Athearn is trying to lead the way in N-scale. So Remember, we've introduced Athearn Genesis N, so you're going to have a lot more details than a lot of N scale guys are used to. And if you're not into all that added on detail, if you just want something to run on your T-Track module or your N-Track module or just your home layout, we've got Athearn N for you too. Still nice models, just not quite as much detail as Genesis. Jason says, Jim, I'm going to notify my hobby shop to pre-order my 6 rock cars to be patched for the Truesville Southern. There you go. While you're at it, try your hand at some of the undecorated ones too. Let's see what they would look like, what your railroad would look like in their own corporate scheme. Let's see. How are the Portland and Western GP39-Ts coming next month, maybe? Not next month, sorry. No, not next month. I don't really have a date for you on those. Let's see what else we've got. A couple of folks saying, yes, sir, you plan on getting some Athearn Genesis this year. Thank you. That's kind of new for us. Paul saying, my Genesis CNW AC4400s are being delivered this Friday. I can't wait. Thanks for your order. And, you know, yeah, we're really excited about the AC4400s. While I'm thinking of it, check out a couple of videos. In fact, BA Rail Systems, our friend in Canada, he posted a video not on the AC4400, but on the VIA P42. We've also got videos coming up very shortly on the AC4400s. And you probably heard me say at the beginning of the show, we uploaded a new video yesterday to our YouTube channel. If you purchase the Kansas City Southern AC4400s and you're a Kansas City Southern fan, you know that Kansas City Southern has a really interesting striped end handrails. Now, because of the limits in production, we couldn't have those added at the factory. However, we do include decals that you can apply to your Kansas City Southern locomotives. And if you're feeling a little overwhelmed or you think it's too hard, go over to our YouTube channel. We've got a new section over there called Tips and Techniques. And John Stackpole, our lead developer, did a really good how-to video on how to put those striped end handrails on your Kansas City Southern locomotive. So again, if you just picked up your Kansas City Southern ones and you really want to make that look even more authentic, check out that new video. It's on our YouTube channel under the tips and techniques section of our YouTube channel. Let's see. What other questions do we have here? A lot of guys are expecting their AC4400s. I bet. A lot of guys have been waiting a long time for those. Hi, Jim. Are we going to see you in Colorado? Scotty. I like your name, Scotty. Yes, I will be there at the Denver Rocky Mountain Train Show. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you out there. It's just going to be me. So stop by the booth and say hi. Don't let me get lonely by myself. I'd like to hear what you guys are up to. I always like going to shows and hearing what people are working on, what they've been doing on their layouts, and just the different types of layouts everybody has. It's always interesting. I'm going to be there with my friend George Bogatok over from Soundtracks. He's going to be real close to me, so we'll be both there. So stop by and see both of us. Rocky Mountain Train Show is a great show. If you've never been to this show before, you owe it to yourself to go. It's 2 days of great model railroading. And by the way, some of the layouts that come for this show are really nice layouts. They do a good job of picking some great HO and N-scale layouts. Let's see. Paul wants to know, are the Kansas City Southern Rail decals available aftermarket? Not at this time. If you purchase one of those AC4400s, they automatically come in the box, but we haven't offered those separately. So I'm thinking you probably have a fleet of Kansas City Southern locomotives that could use those decals. Nothing that we've offered separately. So I don't know if off the top of my head if there's some other decal companies that offer those, but I'm sure if you did a quick search, you might be able to find some. BN Green 1970 says, "Are you going to make it to Long Beach this summer? Is Janet going to be there? Since I think he lives there." Well, Janet's going to be there because yes, he does live in that area, and some of our other guys are going to be there. The National Train Show, I've heard, is not going to happen there this year, so I probably won't be out west this year. I'll be going to Rocky Mountain next, followed by the St. Louis RPM meet in end of July, and definitely Train Fest. Train Fest is back this year, so I'll definitely be there. All right, one or two more questions, and then I'm going to let you guys get back to it. I'm sure you've got some modeling that you'd like to attend to. Train Jack, the SD45T-2 locomotives coming out this year. They are on schedule to get here this year. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I do believe the last tracking date I had was late August, early September. Of course, that could change. All right. Well, let's see. Any other questions? If not, I'm going to let you guys get back to your model railroading. And looks like we're good. So with that, I want everyone out there to be happy, be healthy, be safe, and do some good model railroading. And until next time, I'll catch you out there trackside. High greens, everyone. Take care.